Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new analysis. Before I get started, I just need to go over a few things. First of all, there was a suggestion for Bookstore that I totally missed. I knew that the suggestion was somewhere on Reddit, but I just couldn't find it. It was suggested by Average Teen Cuba, so thank you and sorry I didn't shout you out in the last analysis. Also, I'm sorry this video is a little later than usual, but I wanted to take the weekend off this week as opposed to working through it like I normally do. As always, if you want to see the outtakes or notes for this video, you can see them for free on my website, links in the description. With that out of the way, let's move on to today's analysis. Suggested by Jason Marcosio, sorry if I've said your name wrong. Shelter from the Rain, a story from 18 minutes and 5 seconds into episode 5 and based on the manga's 10th chapter. While the title card of the manga shows us Nishikata and Takagi running for the shelter, in the anime we start off with them already undercover. Takagi comments on how quickly it started raining and that she hopes it will stop soon. Nishikata says that he's not sure if it will as Takagi goes to sit down and goes to pull her wet socks down as she asks Nishikata if he got wet. Nishikata then realizes that Takagi's shirt is a bit damp and as a result he can kinda see through it. Takagi brings him back to Earth by asking if he is listening. Nishikata realizes that if Takagi realizes that he is panicking, he will be branded a pervert. I want to talk more about this, but I'll save it for the end. He says that he hopes the rain will stop soon as well, which is clearly not only a response to the wrong conversation, but also a response to a conversation that he already responded to. He tries to change the subject by bringing up that he wants to go home and watch Ultimate Soccer at 5. Takagi realizes what's going on pretty quickly, but decides not to use this information yet, and instead goes for another method of teasing Nishikata, asking if it was the same Ultimate Soccer that he had bought the manga for the other day, referring to the lie he told in Bookstore. She then corrects herself, realizing that it was actually 100% unrequited love that he had bought. Nishikata gets defensive and derides Takagi for bringing it up when she said she wouldn't tell anyone. Takagi mentions that she's only telling him. Last week when I did Bookstore, there is something that I forgot to point out. Despite Takagi's teasing of the idea that she might tell people about Nishikata's enjoyment of 100% unrequited love, he would never spread that information for the reason I mentioned in my waterslide analysis. Teasing Nishikata is a private pleasure and not something that she shares with others. Takagi then attempts to air out her shirt to dry it while saying that she hopes the rain stops soon. Nishikata agrees while trying not to look at her. Takagi then goes to get her PE shirt and is disappointed to find out that it got wet as well. She asks Nishikata if she can borrow his because she wants to change into something dry. Nishikata asks if she means right here at the temple. Takagi says that she feels gross wearing a wet shirt and that it seems like Nishikata is having trouble working out where to look. Nishikata looks ashamed that he was caught. Again, this has some fairly interesting implications, but I won't be going into them here. Takagi asks Nishikata to turn around while she changes shirts. Nishikata faces away from Takagi, looking visibly uncomfortable with what's going on, and there isn't even a hint that he's considering turning around. Takagi asks how he didn't get wet. In the manga, Nishikata is able to answer with full sentences, whereas in the anime he gives one-word answers and leaves Takagi to figure out the rest on her own. Again, I prefer the way the anime handles this because it better showcases how uncomfortable Nishikata is. Takagi then tells Nishikata that he can look if he wants. Nishikata looks mortified by the thought and goes to ask Takagi what she is saying before Takagi adds that she is done changing. Nishikata turns around to see Takagi in his shirt. Takagi asks why he's so flustered and laughs at him, while Nishikata realizes that she was messing with him. Takagi then offers him a bet over whether the rain will stop before or after the clock strikes 5. Loser has to do whatever the winner says. Nishikata bets that the rain won't stop before 5, and Takagi bets that it will. Nishikata thinks to himself that it's a win-win situation, that if he loses, he gets to go home and watch Ultimate Soccer, and if he wins, he gets to order Takagi around. Takagi then sits down and Nishikata realizes that the shirt he wore is now being worn by Takagi, before snapping himself out of it and deriding himself for having such thoughts. It is at this point that a cat approaches the shelter and Takagi invites it in. Nishikata warns Takagi to be careful as the cat scratches. This leads me to believe that this could be the cat that left Nishikata's hand injured in pool. As the cat comes under the shelter, Takagi grabs her school bag and shields herself before it shakes itself dry. Nishikata, who didn't have this foresight, gets absolutely drenched. Takagi immediately asks if he would like his shirt back, to which he says he'll be fine. Takagi tells Nishikata to wear her PE shirt because it's drier than what he is currently wearing. We cut to Nishikata about to put the shirt on, but being weirded out by the thought that he is about to wear Takagi's shirt. Takagi asks if he's done yet, and Nishikata freaks out and tells Takagi not to look. It is at this point that the rain stops. Takagi points out that she is the winner. Nishikata looks disappointed, but not too much. He figures he'll do whatever she wants him to quickly so that he can go home and watch his anime. However, Takagi's punishment is that Nishikata has to go do something with her before they go home. Nishikata tries to tell her that he'll miss his anime, but Takagi reminds him that a bet is a bet. Nishikata disappointingly resigns himself to his punishment and the story ends. What I find to be the most interesting aspect of this story is how Nishikata perceives intimate or promiscuous situations and his involvement in them. As I mentioned before, Nishikata is pretty reserved and clearly has a conservative view of intimacy and indecency, so much so that he thinks even realizing something like Takagi's shirt being wet and therefore a little see-through is enough to make him a bad person. He specifically uses the word pervert, and just so that we're all on the same page, Google's definition of a pervert is a person whose sexual behavior is regarded as abnormal and unacceptable. And I can't really find anything to suggest that the Japanese version of perversion is any different, despite actions that we in the West would see as perverse being generally more accepted in Japan. However, this further goes to show how warped Nishikata's understanding of perversion is. The fact that he makes an effort to look away and looks ashamed when Takagi calls him out for being nervous goes to show that he is not perverted. A perverted character would react to this situation with excitement as opposed to uncomfortable dread. However, there is still the matter of his thoughts on Takagi wearing his shirt and himself wearing hers. I was always taught that the first thing that comes into your head is what you are conditioned to think, and the second thought is what defines you as a person. Given that Nishikata is likely aged 12 to 13 and therefore likely in early stages of puberty, it stands to reason that his first thoughts would be the scandalous nature of their situation, but his second thought is to deride himself for even going there. Really, what I find most interesting about this story is how much character definition it gives to Nishikata. Again, just giving us a better look at how he handles particular situations. And that is it for this analysis. Make sure you subscribe to catch more Takagi-san analyses, and if you're keen, why not check out the main channel for the films I write and direct. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.